This is The Good Government Show.
We obviously live in a very high poverty area. And Reconnecting McDowell really focuses on trying to lessen that stigma of, well, you're in a high poverty area, there's nothing that people can do for you. There are multiple things that people can do for you. And there's multiple ways of bettering your life and bettering your community, even though there's not a lot of money.
It is a good job. It is probably one of the best paying jobs. It has really good benefits, and I enjoy it overall, especially not having kids. I can come to school when I have enough kids.
What other job opportunities are there in town?
Gas stations, the coal mines, and mom and pop shops, federal prisons, and jails.
And this is the best of all?
Yeah, probably. I couldn't imagine working at a prison or a jail.
Welcome to Life in McDowell County, West Virginia. In this episode, we're going to get to know some of the people that live in what is the poorest county in West Virginia, which makes it one of the poorest counties in the nation. And we're going to see how an idea became a project and is changing the lives of the folks there. Welcome to The Good Government Show. I'm David Martin.
And I'm Carol Dioria. So we are going back to West Virginia. Is this near Boone County, David?
Well, it's about 2 hours south. It's a little bit closer to Kentucky.
But the poorest, really? What was that like?
Well, it's incredible. It is beautiful. And it's tragic.
I'll bet.
They say you never meet a stranger in West Virginia. And for me, that was true. One of the guys you'll meet, he kept trying to convince me to move there. I saw beautiful scenery. And I also saw a downtown that's pretty much been abandoned. They say almost heaven, West Virginia. I don't know if it was almost heaven, but I was in the very heart of Appalachia and in the very heart of the mountains. Beautiful. But I also saw dilapidated houses. I saw really hard living and many, many houses that were just, completely abandoned and falling apart.
That is really quite a contrast. And sad, though.
Yes, it's rural beauty and rural blight.
So this is more coal fallout?
Yes. So less coal was mined, less jobs. Again, like in Boone County, coal was king. And McDowell is in southern West Virginia, and this is really the heart of coal country. I saw lots of former, company houses, the coal company houses, some that were lived in, some were not. There were entire towns that were just built for coal mines. That line in the song, I owe my soul to the company store?
Right.
It was true. And those company stores are still there. Some are abandoned, some have been converted, but they're still there. And so is the idea of coal. And coal it's not gone, but it's nowhere near the industry it once was. And there's lots of numbers available. But let's just say that over the past 10 years, the state has lost close to 10,000 coal jobs.
It's an awful lot.
Right. But that translates to loss of other jobs in related industries. It shrinks the tax base. It lowers the home values. And it creates abandoned towns and neighborhoods, all because we use less fossil fuels.
Oh, please. I need some good news here. Tell me how this is going to get better.
Well, things are getting better. You heard about the lavender farm in our previous episode. That was over in Boone County. This story is about a program called Reconnecting McDowell. And this is a program that offers college scholarships to McDowell high school students. As Lillian, she was one of the people you heard from at the top of the show, said, they come back to McDowell to become teachers. And this does two things. First, it fills a huge teacher shortage. And as you heard from Faith Poor, teaching it's one of the better paying jobs and kind of one of the more stable jobs in McDowell County.
Okay, sounds like a worthy program, so tell me more.
Okay, well, first I have to give you a little background on West Virginia and McDowell County. So for that, I'm going to turn to Cliff Moore. Now, this is the guy, every time we're driving by, every time we saw a house for sale, I said, David, you could buy that house. Well, David, what about that one?
He doesn't know you. Go ahead.
No. Cliff and I, we chatted a lot. But he would see a house and go, hey, look at that. And then I told him about my boat. And he goes, no, look, there's a boat.
I don't see you doing much sailing in West Virginia.
Well, not probably sailing, but, the Tug Fork is a big river and they have canoes and sailboats and power boats. But anyway, I'm going to let Cliff explain McDowell County.
McDowell is only a former shadow of itself, where we had 100,000 people. We had a very high economic profile here in the county. That has all diminished and gone away because of the coal market. And if coal ever comes back, and I know and you know that it's probably not going to, you can't tell the people in McDowell County that, because they have some kind of inexplicable connectivity to this geography to the history, to the coal mines, and everything that McDowell represents. So, as I told you earlier, when you would come to Welch, which is the county seat of McDowell, on a Saturday, particularly on a payday Saturday, when all the miners got paid, the school teachers got paid, and everybody got paid, you couldn't get down the streets of McDowell, of Welch, because everybody was there, 100,000 people. People came to shop for clothing, for food. They came for medical appointments and various things like they do in other places. And when McDowell County began to decline, as it has, and it's still in a decline, people moved away. And when they moved away, it took away the hope, it took away the prosperity, and it took away some of the resources that we used to make McDowell County great when it was great.
Wow. Really big changes.
Huge changes. And not all of them good. As you heard, Welch, it was once the big city in McDowell. Welch was so busy. Okay, here's your McDowell fun fact for the day. Welch has the nation's first municipal parking lot. Not New York. No.
That's what I would have thought.
No. The first municipal parking lot. Welch was so busy, it was called Little New York.
No.
Really? Yes, it was.
I can't imagine.
No, it was Little New York. It was so diverse and so busy. People just filled the streets on the weekend with all these people. They needed parking, and you're up in the mountains, no flat ground. So they had to build a parking lot. Check out our website, thegoodgovernmentshow.com, and you'll see a picture of the nation's first municipal parking lot. But I know it looks like it's going to fall down, and some people still use it. There's a movie theater across the street showing all your favorite hit movies, but doesn't get near the use it used to.
So, okay, you have a really poor county and pretty empty downtown. What's the good news here? Okay,
so we're getting to that. It all started with the state's then First Lady, Gail Manchin. But before she was in the governor's mansion, and if you haven't already guessed, she is married to now Senator, right? She's now married to Senator Joe Manchin. But she was a teacher, she was a university professor, and an educator. Her husband, who was then Governor Joe Manchin, he appointed her to the state's Board of Education. And that's when she saw what was going on with McDowell.
So I get on the school board, and I'm on there for a while, and I realize that we have taken over McDowell County. Now, this had happened before I got on the school board. And so every year they would make recommendations for McDowell County. And I'm looking at results, test scores, and what's going on, and nothing's changed. Nothing's any better. And so I started saying to the state superintendent and to the other members of the state board, what's wrong with this picture? We took this over. Now we've been in control for almost 10 years, and nothing's changed.
So she discovers the problem, and you say, took it over. What does that mean, took it over?
Okay, so what it means is the local county couldn't effectively manage their county's education system. So the state came in and they took it over. And it was at the state level, and that's when Gail spotted the problem. She's actually the person in the story who said, there must be a better way.
Okay, for Gail. So what did she do?
Well, two things. First, she met Randy Weingarten. And Randy is the president of the American Federation of Teachers, and that's the union that represents teachers across the nation. And we know Randy.
Absolutely. I've talked to Randy many times.
Right. So have I. She's a New Yorker, and she ran the teachers union here, and we know her. So Gail met her. She met her first in West Virginia, seated next to her at dinner. And then she met her again in Washington, and she kept...
She wore her down, is what you're telling me.
So obviously you know Randy. But Gail stayed in touch with her, and she continued to press her on the conditions in McDowell, and eventually they came together. And so with public and private help, they created Reconnecting McDowell. But as Gail looked deeper into the problems they were trying to solve, what she saw was it wasn't just a new principal they needed.
What we found, which was really not a big surprise, was children were coming to school hungry. They were coming to school neglected. They were coming to school without any support system at home. And so their learning, their success in school had nothing to do with the classroom or the principal or the teacher. It had to do with all of the wraparound services that these children needed in order to be able to be successful in school.
So Gail saw what needed to be done.
Yeah, she did. And it wasn't just hiring teachers or getting new textbooks, but it really was setting up an entire system to support the students and ultimately the town.
So we started from that approach, bringing in these sort of wraparound services to help support children, meals and food to take home, and weekends, sending food home with kids, and just starting to address the things that they were living with every day. And what we found was that about almost 50% of these kids did not live with a biological parent. Parents were either incarcerated or dead from drug overdoses. They were living with grandparents. They were living with some relative, friend. Many of them really didn't even have a home to call home. Of those 50%, half of them never saw an adult get up and go to work in the morning. So this was the world that these young people lived in. And then they came to school, and we said, okay, let's read, let's do math.
Wow, that is unbelievable. Right here in the United States, in America?
Yes, exactly. Right here in America. And that's when they really dug into getting solutions. And with Randy and the AFT plan, all that started to come together.
We focused on 3 different areas: improving student achievement, social and emotional assistance to kids and families, and then economic development. And as part of the improvement of student achievement, as well as the community relationships, there were several young adults who, were from McDowell, who decided after college to come back to McDowell to, invest in its future.
Okay, so they have a plan coming together. They really saw it's more than what goes on in the classroom. It's what you bring to the classroom or don't bring to the classroom.
Right, exactly. So again, let me talk a little bit about McDowell. The high school, it's called Mount View High. And it's called that because the school is actually built over a former coal field. This is one of the many mountaintops that was removed, and the coal was dug out, and the process leaves a flat piece of land where the mountain was. And as we know, you have to improve on the mountaintop. And what they did was they built a high school, and it's so big. They've got the school, they've got athletic fields, and they're going to have Board of Education offices.
Well, that sounds really good, actually. Is there a farm in this picture?
No farm, but yes, it is a big area. And you drive up, and you're really driving up a mountain. Then all of a sudden you get to the top of the mountain, it's flat. And let me tell you, there's a really great view on the top of the mountain. But I also went to 2 elementary schools. One school was on the main road, and there was a small school that was at the end of a holler.
Did you say holler again?
Yeah, another holler. I'm using it correctly. And listen, there are hollers all over West Virginia. You've got to get out of New York. There are hollers all over. When we go, you're going to see them. So,
I want to see them.
Good. The holler by Welch, that's one of the ones I drove up. And this is right next to the school. It's mostly trailers. Most have folks living in them. There are some old coal houses, the company houses that are still there. Some of the trailers look okay. Some are falling apart. Some are fixed up and kind of nice, and some of them are scary looking.
But it's hard to believe this is where the kids live, and from there they go to school.
Yeah, not all students, but chances are somebody in their family lives nearby or lives in one. So let me just say a little bit more about Welch. There's one restaurant in town. It's the Sterling Drive-In. And this is an institution. It used to be one of the 2 drive-ins where kids would go on a Saturday night and they'd cruise from one place into the other. And now it's the only place in town, and it's owned by the town's mayor. And we're going to meet him later. He's quite dynamic. And by the way, the biscuits and gravy, definitely worth a drive.
I have never had biscuits and gravy. And honestly, I don't think I want biscuits and gravy.
Nothing better than biscuits and gravy in the morning. Anyway, McDowell needed help, and they needed major economic help as much as anything else.
So it wasn't just about the schools.
No, it was about more than the schools. And I'm going to have Randy Weingarten explain the success and how they're still working on improving the economy.
I'm proud of the community work and the community relationships that have been created as part of this. Some people would say that they were proud of the fact that the high school graduation rate has gone from 74% when we started to 88% in the middle of all of this. Some people would say that they were proudest of the fact that the high school graduates that are enrolled in college have doubled. But some people would say that they're proudest of the fact that the McDowell schools now have reverted back to local control because of all the evidence of improvements. Some people would say they're proudest of the fact that we have now built the first housing, the first multiple story building in McDowell for 50 years. But what I'm proudest of is the can-do nature of this partnership, that it has created hope where fear and despair existed.
That's a lot of positive change and a new, I guess you would say, attitude about the whole thing.
It is. And it's not just the school and the kids. It's about the town and the county and the people and trying to make McDowell a better place where people want to live. And there's a chance for a better future. And that led me to Bob Brown. And by the way, Bob was my driver. He was my guide in West Virginia, and Bob knows everybody. So let me introduce you to Bob.
My name is Bob Brown. I work in the office of the president for the American Federation of Teachers, and I serve as treasurer of an organization called Reconnecting McDowell. We have a 501c3. We're in downtown Welch, West Virginia, standing in front of Renaissance Village, which is a building that we put together and helped finance to create a place for young teachers to live in McDowell County. There's a critical teacher shortage in McDowell counties, and we thought we could help that if they had a place to live.
They actually built an apartment building for teachers down there?
Yes, right in beautiful downtown Welch. It took a while and some wrangling, and all these projects too. But in the end, they have a new 16-unit and modern apartment building. It's right behind the movie theater, across from the only convenience store in town, and next to what used to be the hottest nightclub in Welch, but that's closed for now.
So they built an apartment, which actually, it shows their commitment.
Yes, but
to fixing this place.
Here's the thing, Carol. It's not just an apartment house. Because I asked Bob, I said, is this really a step toward, a revitalized McDowell County?
Well, we think so. Look, if you have, and ultimately our dream is to attract teachers and other young professionals live in this building. If you have 30 young professionals living in downtown Welch, it's going to drive some local economic development. You're probably going to see a dry cleaner open up. There's a movie house next door. We hope it's going to other restaurants in addition to the Brazilian restaurant going in here. We think it's going to absolutely drive some economic development in downtown Welch.
Did he say a Brazilian restaurant?
Yes, he did. And wow. I walked right. See, progress.
That's something I would like.
See, now you're McDowell.
Now I'm interested. Yeah.
So no biscuits and gravy, Brazilian.
Yes.
Can we start with the biscuits and gravy for breakfast and then go? Yeah.
No.
A couple of fried eggs on top.
I need a bagel.
No bagels in West Virginia. Anyway, yes. So I got to walk around the place. There's going to be a coffee house there, the Brazilian coffee house. There's going to be the restaurant. They've got an arts and crafts store that's going on. So it's really going to be a downtown anchor. And I'm going to tell you more about this program after the break.
The Good Government Show is sponsored by Liquid. Welcome back to Season 2, Liquid.
And we still love Liquid. And not just because they are a sponsor again. But Carol, here's a fun fact. A recent study found that over 80% of retail shoppers conduct online research before making a purchase. Do you do that?
Well, yeah, I do it when I know what I'm buying. Like, for instance, we needed some bug spray for the backyard. We were having a party, but we have dogs. So I didn't want anything toxic for the dogs. So I had to run down a lot of products online.
So you did your research?
I did.
All right, good. And if you're in a business, you really have to do your research because you really want to evaluate who you're working with and making sure the company you are about to partner with, you want to make sure it's a good fit.
Well, that makes sense. So you want to stand out to other companies that are checking your company out.
Exactly. And that's where Liquid comes in. They can help your business create a digital presence with impact so you can be impressive to new businesses and keep your customers.
And it's not just about a website. See how much I've learned about Liquid since the first season?
You're Liquid aware. Good for you. Right. So they can guide you where to advertise, make sure your social media is relevant, and it engages your customers. They want to make sure your digital story answers your potential customers' questions before they even have to ask them.
And that's what Liquid is good at, creating a full marketing and online digital presence.
Liquid's been around for nearly 2 decades. They have a lot of experience and a lot of research to back up their plans.
And they have a team of designers, marketers, strategists, and developers. They can help companies in many industries with award-winning creative campaigns, content, and websites.
All good reasons to have Liquid plan your next digital marketing strategy. So check them out and talk to a Liquid professional. Visit them at www.liquidint.com. That's www.liquidint.com.
And you will love Liquid as much as we do.
Because they're our sponsor. We love Liquid. We want to welcome back as a sponsor to the Good Government Show, Kutztown University of Kutztown, Pennsylvania.
And you want to talk about their rugby team.
Well, they do have a good rugby team. They just won a national tournament. And what I did was I called a friend. His daughter played at Kutztown. She played on the rugby team. And I asked him, what did he like best about Kutztown?
You mean besides the rugby team?
Well, yeah, besides the team, obviously the team first. But he responded to me and said something I didn't know. His favorite thing is the chicken tower, or it's also called the Angry Chicken.
What? I hesitate to ask. The Angry Chicken?
Well, it's such a landmark that it's actually the school's logo. It's a clock tower. And apparently when you look from a special angle, the clock looks a little bit like a chicken with an open beak. So It's the Angry Chicken.
Okay, then. Well, let's talk about the other stuff, like that their degree program in music business is now nationally accredited. They offer undergraduate certificates in cybersecurity and technical writing.
So is this what we do? Is this technical writing?
Oh, no. Take a class and maybe get better at writing.
Oh, come on. That's not fair. You know what? You would benefit from the new graduate certificate program and be a school social worker. Maybe you'd be nicer.
All right. Well, the point is Kutztown is a forward-looking university. They also offer Pell Promise scholarships. And for students who qualify, student tuitions and fees are all covered.
And that's just some of why we like Kutztown and are happy to be associated with this university. Oh, and my friend thought it was really cool that sometimes the locals, they ride through in a horse and buggy. So check out Kutztown University. That's Kutztown University, and cheer on their rugby team.
Of course.
Yes, please. The Good Government Show welcomes a new sponsor for season 2, and that's NACO, and that's the National Association of Counties. Carol, did you know that county government affects more people than any other form of government?
Well, I do now. Funny, you would think city or the federal government is bigger.
Well, right, but it's not. You think about this. Roads, highways, hospitals, schools, recycling, law enforcement, water, sewers. In most of the country, those services are maintained by the county. That's county government.
And we want to see good county government, and that's where NACO comes in.
Exactly. They're a nationwide organization that represents all 3,069 counties across the USA.
Now, that's a lot of support and, more importantly, brain power.
Exactly. And they have many organizations and committees, and they do things like share best practices, and they work together on national issues.
And they are urban, suburban, and rural counties that have different challenges, but they can still work together.
Yes, they all work together. So NACO helps county government work better. And as we see in this and other episodes, when county government works, well, that's just good government.
So thanks, NACO, for providing us with great stories and helping support good government.
And thanks, NACO, for supporting the Good Government Show. And remember, citizens, don't forget to vote.
So we are in Welch, and you just told me about a new apartment house for teachers. I need to hear more.
Oh, yeah, in the Brazilian restaurant. Right. So it's called Renaissance Village, and it's going to create a new vibe in the downtown, and it's really already impacting the town.
Is there more coming to Welch?
Well, you will have to see for yourself, because we just missed this year. It was the second annual West Virginia Coalfields Cook-Off, but mark your calendar next June. We're going to Wells. We're going to eat some barbecue.
Only you could find a barbecue festival.
It wasn't that hard. It's the mayor. He put this together. And so this year's winner, I'd love to try it. It was called Optimus Swine. So it's a great pork dish.
Actually, I do like pulled pork.
Good.
I like.
All right, good. Now we're getting somewhere. There were at least 15 pit masters that were competing. So it's a big deal in town. And guess what they did for the 4th of July? You'll never believe this.
No, what?
They built a beach.
Oh, come on.
They built a beach. They trucked in sand. They closed off one of the downtown streets and had a beach party.
But I can relate to that.
Yes. All right. So fun stuff, right?
Right.
Okay, good.
I could end up for a drive to Welch.
Yes. We're next year for the barbecue festival. So remember the only restaurant in town until the Brazilian place opened? Well, that's owned by Harold McBride, and he's the town's mayor. And
of course.
He actually stepped in because he wanted to make sure this kind of local institution didn't go away. And he has big ideas for Welch, and it's not just block parties. And he recognizes it's not going to be easy, but this guy's an optimist. And I have to say, when you listen to him, you become a believer too.
At one time, McDowell County had 120,000 people. Now we're down to 18,000. So everything's a little hard as far as that goes, but we're actually gaining. We bottomed out and started. Welch itself has gained. We're getting some people in, moving in from New York, Mississippi. There's quite a few.
New York to McDowell, really? I don't know.
Yes, that's what he said. Not me, unless Cliff wins. But yes, housing is incredibly cheap, and there's a lot of it, and it's available. And Harold explained that Reconnecting McDowell picked up more than just schools. He met with both public and private supporters who were looking at different ways to pick up the county and the city and create something. And it wasn't just passing out cash. They have plans.
We're going to turn into a ATV haven. We're going to have amusement parks. We're going to have quality of life improvement as we go, one step at a time. And we think that people are going to move here. Hopefully we'll get some housing project. We work on housing. So we do that. We keep going. We're gonna make it. We're fine.
Okay, so I have to say this is really pretty inspiring. The coal jobs are gone. The town is not nearly what it was. The downtown is pretty much abandoned, but they have events here that actually sounds like fun. They have a new apartment building, a new coffee shop, a movie theater. So do the teachers live there yet? Have they actually moved in?
Yes, they have. I want you to meet one of the Reconnecting McDowell teachers. She's a graduate of Mount View High. She teaches there, and she just moved into a new apartment. And it's near a family and close to the school, and it's brand new.
I'm Nadia Johnson. I live in the Renaissance Village here in Welch, West Virginia, and I'm a Communities and Schools facilitator at Mount View High School 6 through 12.
So, Nadia gave me a tour of her apartment.
I have this kitchen with all black new appliances, a dishwasher because I hate washing dishes by hand, so I need that. My stove, my microwave, my fridge. If I keep going, you see my lovely living room. I have right now I just have a love seat. I don't have a TV or anything yet, but I'm planning to put a projector up because it's a nice big wall, and that way I can feel like I'm in a movie theater. You go down the hallway, and there's my bedroom. It came furnished with a bed and a dresser and a nice closet for all of my clothes and my shoes because I have a lot. Here is another door that has my washer and my dryer, and it's stackable and it's new and it's nice. And then I have a huge closet, a huge bathroom. So the ladies, we love being in the bathroom all the time, and this is just huge for it. Best place ever.
Wow, I wish I could find a place like that for my son. Let him leave his dirty socks elsewhere.
Well, I'll tell you what, Welch needs auto mechanics too. So,
okay.
Yep, there could be a future.
Actually, it is a future
the
possibility.
The D'Auria family could be branching out, is all I'm saying.
Oh.
Get out of Long Island. So, I'm going to introduce you to another teacher, and this woman is pretty incredible. She's one of the first Reconnecting McDowell students. She went to college, came back, and she's actually spoken about it across the nation. She's been in Washington and Los Angeles.
Really?
Yeah, she's been around, and she's got a lot to say.
My name is Lillian Keys. We are currently at the Renaissance Village in Welch, West Virginia, and I am a high school English teacher in McDowell County, and I teach at Mount View High School.
Lillian grew up in McDowell. She knows the kids, and in some cases, she knows their brothers and their sisters or their parents. She lives in the county and says much of the job is helping kids with problems beyond classwork.
We're all from this pretty low poverty area. Nobody's really excelling substantially here. And the fact that these kids are on this level and they're all getting these opportunities, it's very important, and it's great, because like I said, these kids obviously don't have the best home lives. They don't get a lot of opportunities. They haven't had, the best of the best in almost anything. And so this program is at least giving its best to them, and it allows people like me and like other teachers and people like Bob to give their best to them too.
Oh, that's great insight.
She is really an impressive woman, and she says I'm not a role model. I'm not a role model, but she is. And she actually grew up with Nadia, and she inspired her to go to college and come back to teach. So
see, that's somebody who sounds like she really has an impact.
Right. And she's looking for the next, Lillian Keys. When I asked her what her future was, she said she wanted to be a principal, but I'll let her tell you her future.
I want to be the teacher who was younger, who just got out of college, who knew what they needed, who was able to talk to them in a way that they could understand. And not just about school, but about other things too. And so that's kind of how I look at my career as an educator, is I want to be, the teacher that I didn't have, or maybe the principal that I didn't have.
Well, two great stories.
And I have more.
Oh.
So let's meet Emily Hicks.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Emily Hicks. She teaches 5th grade. She's at Kimball Elementary. That's in McDowell. And she wanted to stay close to her family. So she got a scholarship through Reconnecting McDowell, and she was able to succeed.
It opened up a lot of doors. I've met a lot of great people. I was able to, we did our quick trip to Charleston, and then we did a trip to DC and met a lot of people. And then I actually got to fly out to LA and speak at one of the conventions that was representing Reconnecting McDowell through the AFT branch, and it opened up a lot of opportunities, and I've met a lot of great people who have helped me get through college and my master's and everyday teaching.
And she sees how the program is helping outside of the classroom.
They've been able to do scholarships for some of the seniors. They've been able to help with different programs. So I think they've done an excellent job, especially with Welch. They find any way to try and help, build the community back up, because everybody knows that Welch is never going to be what it was in the 60s or 70s, but they want it to be something that people want to be around.
And at the very top of this, you heard from Faith Poor. She's a kindergarten teacher at McDowell Elementary. And she too felt the pull of home and family, and so she came back to teach. But that was after her life changed in the program.
They let me get my first plane ride. I had never been on a plane until we went to Washington, D.C. from Charleston. I have been on the plane twice since then. And I knew that if I came back home and helped my community, that maybe those kids would see that and try to give back to their community. Because I've done a lot in the community, especially with HISTA and Reconnecting McDowell. We've done a lot. So it helps a lot that the community knows my face. And then I come back and they were like, okay, now what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm back. I'm here to help.
So let me have Gail sum up what this has done for McDowell.
We've created that next generation of McDowell County students that love their home, love their county, love their land, and they want to be there. So obviously what we continue to do is work around economic development. What are the other things that we can help build in that area? And things are happening. I mean, we have more opportunity probably right now than we've ever had or will ever have again with all the money that's out there.
Wow, these teachers, these women, what great stories.
And it's a really remarkable story. And it all started with Gail Manchin, who said, there must be a better way. Now there are teachers with strong ties to the community and a new apartment house.
And a Brazilian restaurant, don't forget.
Yes, and your
favorite, a barbecue cook-off. So you were there. I mean, did you like it? Do you think you could move there?
Well, could I live there? First, there's no ocean, so that's a big problem for me right off. But when I got in there, I was driving around. When I first got there, I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this place. This is really scary." But the more time I spent there, I sort of looked past that first shock, and I met some really great people. I saw some really nice spots. I saw some really nice changes, and I was really impressed, and I really do want to go back.
Yeah, it sounds like it gives you when you see change and things happening for the better, you get a good feeling. So you had a good trip to McDowell.
I did. And here's the spirit I want to leave you with. Remember my good friend Cliff Moore?
The guy who wants you to move there?
Yes, that guy. All right. So go to our website and check him out. And I'm going to give Cliff the last word.
Okay.
Almost every storefront is closed, which means there's an opportunity for growth, prosperity, and opportunity. That's how I look at it. And if I look at it any other way, then I'm going to fall in the same trap that everybody else falls into, and we're going to lose hope, and we're going to lose the ability to come back to McDowell and other McDowell counties around the country and around the state. And we're going to rebuild, we're going to regrow, and we're going to revitalize.
That is optimism.
And that's Cliff, and that's Gail, and that's Randy, and it's the teachers, and it's the mayor.
Okay, I see why you were so excited about West Virginia. It's really everybody coming together working for the same goal.
I was, and I am, and I really do want to go back, and I want to really see how things are there in a few years. So this is a story I really want to stay on top of. I want to go back.
Yeah, we should. That's one way to keep good government programs alive. So we report on them. We make sure no one takes their focus off the good work they're doing. Keep the eye on the prize.
Exactly. This is good government in action. Gail Manchin looked at what's going on. She said, we're doing something wrong, and we need help. She gets it, and as a result, there are new teachers, a new apartment building, and that anchors downtown. And over in Boone, you've got a strategic planner that sees a need and creates a new local industry and reclaims coalfields. That's how a region in decline became a region on the rise. And that's good government at work.
And that's our show. Thanks for joining us. I'm Carol Dioria.
And I'm David Martin. And that's our trip to West Virginia. 2 great stories out of West Virginia. Join us again on The Good Government Show. Don't forget to follow The Good Government Show on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss any of the great stories we tell. Join our community on Facebook and be part of the conversation. Join our discussion on Twitter. If you like our show, tell your friends to listen too. For more extras on the show, check out our website, goodgovernmentshow.com. The Good Government Show is produced by Valley Park Productions. Jim Ludlow, David Martin, and David Snyder are the executive producers. Jason Stershic is our producer and editor. Some transcriptions were done by Kofi, Ajeasi, Ampah. Our hosts are me, David Martin, and Carol Dioria. Join us again for The Good Government Show wherever you listen to podcasts.